Alright guys, I'm going to be introducing lesson 23, which is true and false number sentences. Alright, so let's look at the class. It says, exercise. It says, determine what each symbol stands for and provide an example. So we've talked about inequalities and stuff, so let's look at the symbols in these boxes. So I'm going to make 3 here. I don't know when there we go. Alright, so I'm going to put S for symbol. And this is what it stands for. I'm just write stands for. And then example. This, I'll write symbol. What that symbol stands for. And then example. Give me just a second to fill this in. So go ahead and start trying to fill it in as to what you think each one means. Everyone should know this because we have been over this recently. Alright, let's look at the first one. It's equal sign. So what does that equal sign stand for? Is equal to. And we're going to do the middle box first for each one, then we'll give examples. Alright, the next one, when you see this, what does that stand for? Stand for is greater than. Alright, the next one is less than. This one, remember when the line is underneath it, so that'd be the same as less than or equals to. So this is less than or equal to. So this one would be, we had the greater than sign, so that'd be greater than or when the line's underneath that equal to. So the last one is greater than or equal to. So remember when there's a line underneath it, it's or equal to. So don't forget these lines here. And remember, the gator wants to eat the biggest number. So remember your little gator I always draw for you guys. You know you've seen it in elementary school. So gator wants to eat that big number. So this one's greater than, because the number would be over here. Like if it was 8 and 4, that gator is going to eat the bigger number. So that means greater than. So now let's go over examples. What are some numbers that you could write with equal sign? Alright, I could put 4.5 is equal to, what's the decimal form of 4.5? That's 4.5 or 4.50. And we don't have to have the 0 on the end, unless we're talking about money. But 4.5 is equal to 450, and that's a true statement because 4.5 is 450. Because if you had 2 quarters out of 4, that's half, and that's 50 cents. Alright, so now let's look at is greater than. Let's write something. Actually, I put one right here, so you can actually use that one. 8 is greater than 4. You could do harder ones. I would really prefer like 5 and a fourth is greater than 4 7/8. And that's obviously greater since that 7/8 won't make it a whole. It's still going to be 4 for the whole number and 5 for the whole number here. So even though the fraction parts are it's smaller over here, the whole number makes it bigger. So that's why that's a greater number. Alright, so let's look at less than. Alright, so what about, let's say 4.5 and 4 7/8. So which one of these numbers are greater? It's going to be 4 7/8. So 4 1/2 is less than 4 7/8. Because, well, for one, I could tell because 7/8 is closest to making a whole, and 4 1/2 is just halfway through. Plus, if I got a common denominator, 4 1/2 would be 4, because 8 would be my common denominator. So that means I would multiply both top and bottom by 4, because I have to multiply 2 by 4 to get 8. So it'd be 4 and 4/8 over here. So we had a common denominator, be 4 and 4/8 on this side. So that's obviously less than 4 7/8. So this one's 3/8 more than this one. All right, let's look at the part that says it's less than or equal to. So you could put 4. You could start with the first example, actually. 4 1/2 is less than or equal to, because we have equal to up here and 4.5, and it's really equal to, but you could put is less than or equal to. So we don't know. That's meaning that it could be less than or it could be equal to. In this situation, it's equal to it. We already found that out in the first one. All right, now let's look at a second one that says is greater than or equal to. Let's use this example. All right, 5 1/4, which we already said was greater than, but we're going to put greater than or equal to 4 7/8. All right, it's obviously greater than, but this statement just says that it can be greater than or equal to. You'd have to figure it out. And this one's saying it can be less than or equal to. For this statement, it was equal to. For this statement, it was greater than. But putting that line underneath it means it could be either one. All right, so let's look at example 1. I'm sorry, it takes a little while to erase it. Now I don't know what's wrong with my pen, so give me just a second. All right, example 1 says for each equation or inequality your teacher displays, write the equation or inequality and substitute 3 for every x. So I'm going to give y'all some equations or inequalities, and I'm going to have x in them, and you're going to take the x and you're going to put 3 in for it. So I'll go over the first one for it, and then you're going to write if the equation or inequality results in a true or false number sentence. So write this down for the first one. 5 plus x is equal to 8. And remember, for all of these, x is going to be equal to 3. So now let's plug in 3 for x. All right, so 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. All right, so let's solve this. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 is equal to 8. Is this a true number sentence? Yes, it is. So you'd write this one as true. Let's go ahead and fill that one in. I'm going to give you about 3 more, and you're going to determine whether each one is true or false. So you're going to write it like this. You're going to solve it all the way through to the end, and then you're going to write if it's true or if it's false. And remember, x, you need to write at the top, x equals 3. For each one, x is going to equal 3. So at the top there, write x equals 3. I'm giving you just a second. All right. So remember, x equals 3. I'm going to leave that at the top. I'm going to leave you guys to do this on your own. I want to on your own for the other ones. I went over the first one, so you'll be doing the other ones. Just write down these problems. The first one, after the example I gave you, is 5 plus x is greater than 8. Number 2 is going to be 5 times x is greater than 8. And then number 3 is going to be 5 plus x is greater than or equal to 8. So write down those 3. These are relatively easy. Obviously, these is where you multiply. 5 times x. And remember, each one of these, x is going to equal 3. So you're going to plug in 3 and solve them. Quickly write them down. It does not take forever to write them down. I'm only giving you a few seconds to write those down. You should be writing. And we're going to look at the exercises. I'm going to erase the first one. We're going to know x equals 3. Finish these last two problems. Go ahead and flip it over if you're finished. Alright, so that's enough time. Everyone should have had that written down. It wasn't hard to write those couple problems down, those few problems down. Alright, so flip over to the exercises. It says substitute the indicated value into the variable and state in a complete sentence whether the resulting number sentence is true or false. If it's true, find a value that will result in a false number sentence. If false, find a value that will result in a true number sentence. So I'm going to go over number 1 and 2, and then you're going to be able to do the rest. And also, if you look at the problem set, go ahead and flip to the back problem set. It's the same thing. You're going to tell whether it's true or false. If it's true, you're going to tell me a value that will make it false. And if it's false, you're going to tell me a value that will make it true. And then at the bottom, it tells you to create number sentences using the given variable and symbol. So it's going to give you a variable, like the first one gives you the variable d, and the symbol is greater than or equal to. And it says that the sentence is true and 5 is substituted for d. So you're going to be creating those. Those are going to be ones that I will be checking at home when I get your papers, that you can do just that. All right, so I'm going to go with the first two of these exercises, and then the rest is the same. This worksheet is very simple, so it shouldn't take that long to do it, but it better be done correctly. Mr. Holcroft will be walking around to see that you're actually doing the work as told and not just writing down true, false, or just numbers, and that you're actually doing what you're supposed to. If it's true, you make a sentence, make it to find a variable to make it false, and if it's false, you find the variable to make it true. So it's going to take, I mean, it is easy, but it's going to take you some time. All right, so let's look at number 1. It says 4 plus x equals 12, and then it says substitute x, or substitute 8 for x. So that means x equals 8. So that means 4 plus, and now x equals 8. So 4 plus 8 equals 12. So now let's do what's 4 plus 8? That's 12. So 12 equals 12. So is that true? Yes, it is. So you'll write that it's true. All right. So now you would have to make it false. So all you have to do, if 4, the only number that x can equal is 8 to make this true, because 4 plus 8 is, because you can only add 8 to 4 to equal it, to make it equal 12, because 4 plus any other number is not going to equal 12. All right, so any number that you use that's not 8 or not equal to 8 will make it a false statement. So you could say x to make it false. You could say to make, and it said use complete sentence, or to make, I'll say the sentence, false, I would have x equal, and you could put, remember, any number that is not equal to 8. So we'll say 6, or you could put 9, or you could put 7. Doesn't matter. You could put 100. They'll make it false, because if I plugged 6 in for x, well, 6 plus 4 equals 10, and 10 is not equal to 12. So that's all you have to do right here. To make the sentence false, I would have x equal, and just put any number but 8. But right now it is true, because if x equals 8, 4 plus 8 is 12, 12 equals 12, that is true. So remember, it says if it's true, you need to write what you would do to make it false. And if it's false, you would have to write what you need to put in to make the sentence true. So quickly write that down, given just a second, then we'll go over number 2, and then we'll leave you guys to work in silence on the rest of them. Alright, start erasing all this. You guys need to learn how to write quicker. If you did not get that done, everyone should have had it. Plenty of time. You're writing when I'm talking. Alright, as I'm going over it, you should be writing too and paying attention. You don't need to wait for me to say write this down. You know to write it down. Alright, so number 2 says 3g is greater than 15. Then it says substitute 4.5 for g. So 4.5 is 4.5 or 4.50, but if we're going to multiply this, we're just going to say 4.5 because it's the same thing. All right, so now I'm going to say 3 times 4.5 is greater than 15. Well, right off the bat, I know that's false because 3 times 5 would be 15, and that would be equal to 15. So there's no way this can be greater than, because it's less than 5. But we'll go ahead and solve it out to make sure, to show you guys. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And then remember, when it's multiplication or division, we do not bring our decimal straight down. Instead, we see how many places over to the left we have to go to move our decimal. And at that, for this one, it's only 1. There's no decimals on the bottom, only on the top. So I'll move it over 1 place. So there's our answer. So that's saying 13.5 is greater than 15. So that is false. You need to write false on there. All right, so how can we make this number true? Well, if 3 times 5 equals 15, then anything greater than 5 would make it true. All right, so even 5.5. I'm sorry. Now since it's false, we need to make it true. So what's going to make this true? 3 times 5 equals 15. And we want it greater than 15. So we're going to have to do, let me erase this real quick. So you could say, first you need to write that it's false to make the sentence true. X needs to be greater than 5. Because if G equaled 5, let's plug that in. 3 times 5 is greater than 15. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. 15 is not greater than 15. It's actually equal to it. So it has to be greater than 5. So we could say X can equal 5.5, or you could say anything over 5.2, 5, 6, 9. I don't care. Any number greater than 5. It could even be 5.1. So you need to put that X equals sum. So you need to have all of this for 1. And then you need to write X equals whatever number you choose. It just has to be greater than 5, even if it's just 5.1. Because 5.1 will still be greater than when it's multiplied by 3 will be greater than 15. Not by a lot, but it still will be greater than. And this symbol means greater than. So you're going to be doing this for the rest of the numbers and for the problem set. And then for the bottom of the problem set, the last bit, you'll be creating your own number sentence that I will check at home myself. All right, the rest of these I'll go over on the second video. Remember, you have to make these sentences. It tells you to make sentences. If it's true, you write true, and then you write a number that would make it false. If it's false, like this one, you're going to have to make a number to make it true. So like I said, x equals 5.5. That would make it true, because then it would be greater than if it's multiplied by 3. If g equaled, I put x, sorry guys, if g, because g was our variable, if g equaled 5.5, let me put g here as well. G needs to be greater than 5, so if g equaled 5.5, it would be true, because 5.5 times 3 is greater than 15. So make sure you write your sentences, give a number to make it either true or false, and if it's true, make it false. If it's false, make it true. I want to see your work, show your work, how I've been even, show your work on it. I need to see some work done. I don't want to see any copying. I am watching you guys. Even sometimes when you don't hear me, I'm still watching you guys. So do your best. Yesterday was a better day. Hopefully today will be better. I do have treats for all of those who has been good all this week. All right, so work hard, stay quiet, do your best.